Weirding Way Media.
80s TV ladies, so sexy and so pretty. 80s TV ladies, stepping out into the city. 80s TV ladies, often treated kind of working hard for the money in a man's world. 80s TV ladies.
Hello, and welcome to 80s TV Ladies, where we explore the fabulous female-driven television shows of the 1980s. We are your hosts. I'm Sharon+johnson.
And I'm Susan+lambert+hatem.
This season has been so much fun. We started with Jennifer Keeshan Armstrong and then casting director Marsha Ross. Then we got to look at Mama's Family, Carol Burnett, The Elephant Show, and even a little bit of the 90s show, The Nanny.
With such a tough, scary, chaotic year here in Los Angeles and Pasadena and in our nation, for me, 80s TV Ladies has been a welcome respite because we've had such a wonderful season, Sharon, talking to guests like Heather Thomas from The Fall Guy, Bruce Boxleitner, and the Scarecrow Mrs. King, Walk With Me podcasters.
It's all just been so wonderful getting the chance to continue to talk to people we so love and admire who have been responsible for some of our greatest 80s television and beyond. Now, I've enjoyed looking back at The Facts of Life, a show I didn't watch at the time, but definitely knew about. It's hard not to know about shows during the 80s. It's a show that resonates to this day between the theme song, and it feels like somehow it's still in the zeitgeist. It ran for 9 seasons from 1979 to 1988.
Almost all of the 80s. And I got to say that this particular run of guests for The Facts of Life, or FOL, as the fans like to say, has been another great run of guests. We started off talking with my friend and current TV writer, producer, Anupam Nigam, and his love for the show growing up, followed by The Facts of Life writer-producer Margie Peters, and then producing director Asad Kallada, who were so delightful, Sharon. I mean, just really filled with joy and laughter. And then the amazing singer of the Facts of Life theme song, Miss Gloria Loring. That was awesome.
It's been so much fun, and I'm so excited to hear what our 90s TV babies will glean from The Facts of Life.
Yes, indeed. It's time to bring back, finally, the 90s TV babies, our smart and sassy, clever and classy friends who were all born in the 90s. We gave them the assignment to watch select Facts of Life episodes and tell us what they think.
90s TV baby Serita Fontanesi is a podcaster, content creator, and training facilitator in diverse progressive sectors and electoral politics. She lives in Austin, Texas.
Megan Ruble is an actress, singer, and producer who lives in the San Fernando Valley.
So, here we go. Please welcome back to 80s TV Ladies, the absolutely fabulous 90s TV babies, Serita Fontanesi and Megan Ruble.
Sergio Perez and Sailor, our newest 90 TV baby, will not be joining today, but will be back on another episode later. Okay, here's the great thing, Sharon. So many of our listeners gave us great suggestions
For episodes for the 90s TV babies to watch.
Yes. So that was really exciting and fun to see them coming in. So I want to thank our listeners that gave suggestions, especially from Facebook, Christian Keys, TL, Jason Bro, Lisa Flory Mendenhall, and Christopher Stroker.
And then on Instagram, we had at Murphy Brown Pod and at Treasure Chamber.
And we had people email us as well at 80stvladies@gmail.com. So many great suggestions. And I really want to particularly shout out Tracy and Molia Mothman. That must be someone who also listens to Richard's podcast. Okay, so what were the assignments, Sharon?
Well, what we did is we looked through all of the episodes that were suggested along with the ones that we also suggested and came up with a list that kind of encompassed much of the series, leaning heavily into, frankly, the ones that our listeners really wanted the 90s TV babies to listen to. So we had them start with season 1, episode 13, Dope. And then season 2, episode 1, The New Girl, which of course is where we first met Joe. Then season 3, episode 15, Starstruck, where Tootie met Jermaine Jackson.
So great.
Then, yeah, followed by season 4, episode 22, Take My Finals, Please. Season 5, episode 6, The Halloween Show. Season 7, episode 1, Out of the Fire.
Now, 2 shows we wanted to include, but could not because we couldn't find them streaming in a way that the 90s TV babies could watch them, was season 8, episode 12, 7 Little Indians, and back in season 5, episode 12, The Christmas Show, which is so funny because the Christmas show was streaming when we talked about it, Sharon, for our Christmas episodes back in December. So
Right.
it sort of stunning. And then our bonus episodes to watch were the pilot, season 1, episode 1, The New Girl, part 2, season 2, episode 2. I also recommended season 2, episode 5, Cousin Geri, and season 3, episode 18, Runaway.
Season 5, episode 10, Store Games. Season 5, episode 17, A Death in the Family. Season 5, episode 18, Big Fish, Little Fish. Season 7, episode 2, Into the Frying Pan. Season 7, episode 8, Come Back to the Truck Stop, Natalie Green.
I love
I'm
that
sorry.
because, that's a play on the play.
Yes, exactly. But it just cracks me up. And then season 7, episode 14, Tootie Drives. And then last but not least, season 9, episode 16, The First Time.
Now, one of our listeners suggested the entire season 9, which I'm going to say is a little bit of an overreach. We can't make them watch an entire season. But particularly, it was so frustrating to realize that it was hard to find.
As we're all learning, the streaming world giveth, and then the streaming world taketh away.
All right, so I'm going to shout out our friend at Advanced TV Herstory, who always recommends that people buy the DVD. She says, buy the DVDs if you really want the show, because they can't take that away from you as long as you keep your DVD player working. All right, so let's get them on and see what they thought.
So welcome back, 90s TV babies. We are so looking forward to hearing what you think about the facts of life.
Hi. Hello.
Oh my God.
So,
All right. We're going to get to that, but I just want to really quick bullet line your summer plans. The last time we did summer plans was right before A Different World, and now it's a different summer ahead of us.
I feel like Sarita's news, summer is going to be way more exciting than mine. Anything I say can compete with this.
I don't know. It's going to be a very different summer than it was last time. I'm a scheduled C-section, so we're planning first week of August, which my birthday is August 19th. So, really hoping for another August Leo in the family. But yeah, my summer bullet point is getting my life together before I have a baby. It's really chill. It's really casual.
Not much left to do.
I mean, yeah, listen, the bassinet is set up. He doesn't have to sleep in a drawer. So I'm feeling pretty good.
And you know what you're having.
Yes, we're having a boy. So I am officially outnumbered in this house. Between the dogs, my husband, and now this little guy.
that's
never
good. I will speak from experience.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, it's the exact same, Susan.
So you have someone to go to for advice on,
I'm sure I will be calling.
And pep talks for being so outnumbered in your home.
Truly.
So, have you chosen a name, and is it something you want to share or willing to share at this point?
Yes, we've chosen a name, Theodore, Theo for short. We love a good old-fashioned name around this house.
I love that. That's fantastic.
That's one of those older names, too, that just has excellent nickname capabilities. So,
truly.
Yeah, we're
done. We're
pretty
pretty excited. We decided for Halloween, we're going to go as Alvin and the Chipmunks. So I'm really excited.
Oh my good night, nurse. I love that. Oh my gosh. All right. That is very exciting and it's hard to beat. But Megan, I want to know what you're doing.
I'll be even more boring. It's going to be the exact same thing as last year. Like literally exactly. I'm producing a show for Hollywood Fringe Festival and I'm doing Shakespeare by the Sea.
But I saw you were doing something else.
Oh, I was doing, so Universal Studios did its first, they actually announced that it is coming back for next year. They started a thing called Fan Fest, which is sort of, they're taking the after hours events that like Disney is doing for, different sections of their fandoms, but taking kind of the Horror Nights model. So there were walkthrough attractions. There was a fully immersive Back to the Future experience. I don't want to advertise too much for Universal Studios until they pay me more, but it was really awesome to be part of that inaugural event. And the fandoms were, there were a couple of anime IPs and Back to the Future, which of course has like huge fans. I was in Star Trek, which has incredible fans, and D&D. So just like really awesome people, really excited to experience these fandoms live with like a story happening around them. So yeah.
So you were performing as a Star Trek person.
Yeah. So I think I can talk about it now.
Okay.
We had like all these weird rules of what we were supposed to talk about and not talk about. But basically you walked onto the Enterprise D, so Picard's Enterprise. And we were all ensigns. And if you have watched the series Picard, the Enterprise D is docked at a museum. So nothing should be going wrong. But then, of course, things go wrong. We've got a bunch of ensigns running around trying to solve it.
Well, that's interesting because Star Trek is owned by Paramount, and yet it's at a Universal fan event. Very interesting.
Yeah, one of the things that was craziest about this was with the exception of Back to the Future and Wicked, everything else that was present there was owned by someone else. Yeah. So like we had both Paramount and Universal with us at all times. D&D had like Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast approving things. Yeah. They had One Piece. And so like a team flew out from Japan to like approve the makeup and the costumes and stuff. Really cool stuff.
Wow. And how long did this last?
It was about a month long.
About a month long. Okay.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Well, did you have a character name?
This is the thing that is like touchy. I believe I can say that. I was a Vulcan, which was really cool because I had like, by the end, they got pretty quick with it, but I was in the makeup chair for about 2+ hours a day because the prosthetics are so detailed because it's just like, I can send some pictures. It's like just the tip of your ear. And they were incredible.
This Star Trek fan needs to see those pictures.
I will send it. Yeah.
Cannot wait to see it. And so, again, Star Trek fan, what color was your uniform?
I was in engineering. And in fact, while you were in there, the warp core started destabilizing.
So engineering is in Next Gen, I think, was gold.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everything after the original,
This is very impressive.
Yeah. Everything after the original series, the colors swapped, right? Because they thought that, oh my gosh, Picard, the actor's name.
Now I'm blanking on his name.
They thought he looked better in red. So they switched command over to the red.
Patrick Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart looked better in red, which he does. So they changed the colors.
That is so funny. I was chewing so hard trying to get
Sir Patrick Stewart. All I could think of was Ian McKellen. And I was like, that is not it. It's the other one.
It's the other guy.
Sir Ian.
Yes.
Well, and I wasn't going to do the sir because that came later, right?
Oh, yeah, that is true.
So, but anyway, that's me.
Yeah.
Not knowing the British protocol at all. All right. Well, that is very exciting news. We got a baby on the way and a Vulcan melting the core. I'm pretty excited.
This is a very exciting summer.
Very exciting summer. Okay, so the assignment, the 90s TV babies were asked to watch certain episodes, which we told you about before, provided by the listeners. So just so you know, all of these came from fans on Facebook, Instagram, listeners that emailed us. So it's kind of exciting because Sharon and I gleaned out of the many suggestions, which ones we were most excited about. And then, of course, there were only so many available streaming, which just make me mad because when we started talking about the facts of life, you could find it streaming all 9 seasons on Amazon. You had to pay for it, but all 9 seasons were on Amazon or Apple. And now they're not.
It's a robbery.
I'm just going to say, all right, so before we get into the episodes, what did you know of the show before we started this adventure? Megan, do you want to start?
Sure. I feel truly like a broken record because I feel like I say this all the time, always producing one thing while doing Shakespeare. And also always going, I had never heard of this. Like even a little bit. I swear I've watched like classic TV. It's just, this is not my like era and genre that I did. I did a lot of like, anyways, but yeah, nothing. I think I had heard the title before and that is about it.
Oh my God. All right. Serita.
I also feel like a broken record in that like this was definitely on in my house. My aunt, huge roller skate girl. And when I was little, she would let me put her too big for me skates on and skate around her apartment. But she referenced Tootie a lot because she had her skates. And I mean, I've not seen even close to every episode, but like I'm familiar with the show and the cast and like I love Kim Fields, Regine, my girl. But so I was familiar with the show.
So now I'm very excited because of your knowledge or a lack thereof of the facts of life world, what you guys thought of the show and the episodes that we showed you.
I mean, it's such a like wholesome show, right? Like it's very formulaic. Like every episode is its own little container of like a story arc, which I personally enjoy and really lends itself to like, kind of hopping around episodes. And it's so like the whole concept of the show, I think is really fun to me of like this home for girls and like they each are sort of this like archetype of teenage girl and teenage angst. And I mean, in true, 80s TV ladies fashion, right? Like that wasn't really a thing. Like there weren't a ton of women-centered shows, but certainly not like a female cast. And seeing them in a lot of ways not be one-dimensional. Like I said, they all have their archetype and their role to play, but like we still get to see some like challenges and internal conflict and the group navigate being a girl in high school, which can be brutal.
Megan, what about you?
As I was watching it, I was like, this show makes me feel like I have a blanket around me and I'm eating mac and cheese. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's not, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all. It's not the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. My mind wasn't like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I watched something like that. It never hit that point, but it was like, this is just good and fun. And yeah, Sarita, to your point, we don't really do formulaic TV anymore. And I understand why, but I also think that that's a loss. It's so comforting. It's so nice to know like, oh, I think I know what joke they're ramping up into and still giggling. You know what I mean? It's still funny. It's still good. And it also was one of the few shows because we jump around so much and because I don't necessarily always have the time to watch extra episodes. I felt like I was keeping up, even though we watched like a show or an episode a season. I still felt like I was kind of following what happened and could kind of be like, oh, something has changed here. Oh, okay, that makes sense. I could follow the shifts through each season, which is nice. Certainly not a modern television trope, even in a sitcom. And yes, Sarita, I agree with you. The other thing that came to mind as I was watching it is I recently, within like the past, actually like 5 years ago, started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and became a huge fan. And then like love it. But also was like, I'm so glad I didn't watch this in high school because I think this would have made me feel even sadder about my high school experience, which was not a bad high school experience. It just wasn't that. And this made me go.
It wasn't killing vampires?
It was that, but it wasn't the dating atmosphere. Was killing
For sure.
vampires. Wasn't dating Angel.
Wait, have you finished Buffy? I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I've gone back and watched stuff too.
And Angel's your guy.
Oh no. No, I'm
okay,
Spike
okay.
through and through.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. That's what I needed to confirm.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Spike through and through. But watching Angel made me like, oh, I don't hate Angel anymore. They like gave David Boreanaz a better script and now we're okay with him. Still not into him, but Spike, through and through Spike.
Spike. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Want to be him, want to kiss him, both. I don't know. But like, I'm glad that teenage me wasn't ingesting that because I think it would have made me more insecure or like, other things like that. I'm sad that teenage me wasn't ingesting this show. Because I think to your point, Serita, like there were so many moments where I related to each of the girls or could remember feeling that way or could remember my friends feeling that way. And that's such a good feeling to feel seen and also contend with, I'm a few of those episodes dealing with slightly deeper things. I've never seen an episode of TV deal with celebrity and fandoms that get out of control. And I thought that was I kept like holding my breath, waiting for it to not be handled quite right.
Parasocial relationships. They actually are not new.
Yeah. And like handled so beautifully and with so much compassion for everyone involved. Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm thinking about the fact that in this case, the episodes that we assign to you are, for the most part, really on the funny side or the, things, nothing particularly serious involved, if you will. Trust me, they have a bunch of episodes that do take on issues and such. And so I think that in this case, unlike Designing Women, where we tended to lean more towards that kind of episode, this time we leaned more toward the funny. So I'm hoping that maybe it will encourage you to go back and watch some more of it at some point, assuming you can find it. Or, catch some episode as it comes on, because there are some really great episodes where they handle things really, really well, not just for a show about teenagers, but just in general. So it's really interesting.
Even in the test episode where they're studying all night for the test, there's this sense of like insecurity about the future and the pressures on them. And yeah, that's a very funny episode. But also it is handling something that, especially to a teenager, is very heavy.
I think it's also really interesting that these are the episodes that listeners love the most, right? Like, as much as it's not to say that there isn't value or people don't love those heavier episodes, but when we think back of like, oh, what did I really love about that show? It is like, Megan, you were saying, that feeling of like, I've got my cozy blanket and like a bowl of mac and cheese, and I just feel really safe and seen. And those are like the things that we really hold on to. And I think that the show did a really good job of capturing, again, especially because it's like just a gaggle of girls all the time. And as someone who is constantly, my grandma would be like, you guys sound like magpies, like just a gaggle of girls everywhere, because none of us were dating, because what? That's crazy. I think there's something really like wholesome and relatable to that.
That's so interesting. I love both of what you guys said. It's interesting. I will say that listeners gave us a lot of episodes. So there were some serious ones on there, but we kind of tended to gravitate towards the ones that were recommended more than once. Take My Finals, Please was in many ways, certainly on the social media side, by far the most recommended. So it was funny that was there to me.
I do not like deep dish pizza, and that episode made me want deep dish pizza. I was like, yeah, I'm excited about it too. Where's my delivery?
It did really take me back to the days of, that was more for me in college, obviously, because I wasn't living with a bunch of girls in high school. But in college, the late night studying and snacking that took place. It was like, oh my God, I totally remember this. So I think that's so interesting. All right. So Serita, since you know the show pretty well, was there an episode that you remembered that you're like, oh, I wish they'd given us that one? Or I don't know, was there another episode in the mix in your head? Or was it just a big wash of facts of life memory?
Yeah, I think it's mostly a wash of facts of life memory. I do, other than like obviously loving Tootie, like Joe was probably my other favorite character, which as an adult, I think those two being my favorite makes a lot of sense and feels very right. Because I remember being a kid watching, being like, oh my God, Blair, like, she's so cool, like, but certainly did not see myself in her in any way. But I think what I loved about Joe was that she just really didn't care. and, and while I certainly did not have that confidence as a teenage girl, absolutely not. Like I thought that was really cool. It was like, what, you're a teenager and you don't care what everybody thinks about you at every moment of the day? That's crazy. I didn't know that was possible. And then I think I relate to a lot of Tootie's sensibilities and just sort of like the Jermaine Jackson episode. Like, of course he knows who I am. Like, what do you mean? I'm the president of the fan club, and he wrote like the delusion. Like, I very much relate to that. So like less of like episode. And I think those are just the two characters that really like stayed with me from watching the show before.
That is so cool. And that was a segue into the next question, which is what characters pot for you? I'm very curious, Megan, because you really got just a snapshot of the show.
Truly, to the point where I'm going to pull up character names so that I don't missay anything. Because truly, the only name I can remember is Tootie, because I was like, this cannot be this person's name. And then it is. Okay. First of all, related more than I care to admit to Edna. Just because I was like, what? I hate how much I relate to this.
I feel like you always relate to like the matriarch, like of a series.
They're all concerned about me.
I love it.
I jumped straight to 90 years old and was just like, I don't know.
It is what it is. There's no right or wrong answers in this.
But also, I feel like a lot of the examples we do have of the matriarchs is they're like kind of fun and wry. Like they have fun aunt energy, usually. They're kind of fun and wry, and they're like here to have a conversation with you if you need to have a conversation, but like we're going to have some fun together. And I think that's what I liked about her and definitely related to. I'm obsessed with Natalie. I'm obsessed with Natalie. And also just that actor's consistency and like in watching the parts of season 1 that we watched, there was a moment where I was like, ooh, these people are young. And I don't know, like, it's not like it was bad. It was like, oh, this is young. And then as the seasons go on, you watch everyone's humor get sharper and everyone like fall more firmly into, yes, I'm playing a caricature, but I'm playing it truthfully. And like, you see them evolve, which is also really cool. But yeah, Natalie obsessed from the get-go. And yeah, also very much related to Joe in the like, and see, it's interesting. I related to the like, I'm going to be the tough girl because I feel like that's the identity that I need to fulfill. And it's like, chill, we love you. It's okay.
That is so interesting. Okay, so just a little info on Mindy Cohn, who played Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
She had never acted before.
What?
That's wild.
How'd they find her?
Some of the producers did a tour of a similar school. She was the one that was chosen to be their guide. And they kind of went, we should have her on the show. So
this is the Tyra Banks in a mall story.
It totally is. Yeah. So she was the tour guide for Westlake, which was the girls' school here
very familiar.
Yes, yep. Los Angeles. And they were like, she's great. We need someone like her. And then they're like,
also, I love that Natalie was a Westlake girl. That's great.
And I was watching a documentary the other night on Facts of Life because, that's what I do in my spare time. And Mindy Cohn really talks about how Tootie really basically taught her how to stand and where to act, like how to be on a set. It was totally precious. And Tootie was 9 when the show started. She was 9 years old.
That's insane. That's incredible.
She probably had more acting experience than almost anybody else.
In at least the first episode we watched, to me, it shows.
Yeah.
She like just has a natural command too.
And the reason she's on those roller skates so much in the first season, which she's on roller skates the entire first
Is it to
season.
make her look older?
It's to
Taller?
make her taller because they couldn't get the camera shots to
She
line
was
up.
9.
She was
How many apple boxes
so
would the girl have
cute.
to stand on?
I do also want the shot that's just her on like 4 apple boxes. Oh,
I was just thinking that, as you saw in the first season, the episode you watched from the first season, there were so many girls. And then they came to their senses and brought it down to the 4 that we all know and love as the Facts of Life girls. But in some ways, for perhaps Natalie in particular, and perhaps even Kim Fields being as young as she was, that it was to their advantage because there were all these other girls that needed to do things and they had a chance to kind of ease their way into this before they were expected to really be carrying this show or helping carry this show. I mean, I still don't know what the heck they were thinking with all those girls in that first season. That was crazy. And I think they made the right choice to whittle it down to just the 4. But again, it probably was to the advantage of those 2 in particular to have that space to kind of figure out what the heck they were doing on TV.
I mean, I only watched the 1 episode in season 1, but the way they chose to whittle it down, like when I saw that had happened for season 2, my brain went off and was like, uh-oh, who'd they pick to focus on? And the fact that you had like a person who was conventionally, I guess, who you would expect to lead a show like this, but then was surrounded by people that we could all point to and be like, oh, I see myself in her. I see myself in her. And I see yourself in her as well to a certain extent. I thought it was cool that the popular pretty girl was also fairly driven, it seemed like. And that's nice. But yeah, I was worried with that many people, tokenization can like become a thing a lot more easily. And because of the way they narrowed it down to who they were going to focus on, it felt less like they were all still caricatures to a certain extent, but it felt less like this is the person who fits this niche and all their jokes are about them being this. It was just funnier than the alternate reality of whatever that TV show is.
So can you think, Serita, you have a great knowledge of television of before your time.
Thank you so much.
Is there another show that was all female before Facts of Life? That was a group of female, not just a female lead, but a female friendship show.
I don't know if I can think of a modern show.
Well, because didn't Facts of Life come out like 1980?
1979,
Whoa. Right there on the edge.
right there.
Yeah, they
I
referenced disco in the first episode, and I was like,
Oh.
hold up.
Wait a minute. I can't think of like a female like ensemble cast before this.
I've been trying to. I haven't done like an actual like study yet, but
I mean,
it's
listen,
coming.
you want to do a deep dive? We can do a deep dive. Listeners, please let us know. I'm having a hard time thinking, like, I can think of shows after this, but not before.
This show became so popular, they used it to launch the Golden Girls.
That's insane.
They
A
moved it
9-year-old was launching the Golden Girls. That's what you're telling me?
a couple
Yes.
seasons later. Like basically, Golden Girls launched in 1985, and they moved Facts of Life to Saturday in order to then have Golden Girls follow it.
Wow.
If you like young ladies, we've got old ladies.
We got the old ladies.
No one in between.
No, yeah, there is no in between. I don't want to see a middle-aged lady around here, okay?
Oh,
Get to
gosh.
designing women.
Get to designing. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And so did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think what I said earlier remains true of like, it's not my favorite thing ever, or my favorite thing that we've watched, but I really liked it.
All right. So is it progressive? Is it feminist? Is it one or both of those?
I mean, there's my usual, we've got to diversify these shows. And also for Kim Fields to be so young and the lead is really incredible. And we cannot take away from that. And truly a testament to her Like she's so funny. Like her timing is so great. And then watching her later when she is actually an adult, it only gets better. I mean, given that we cannot think of a show before this that had a female ensemble, I think that is incredibly progressive. And to say that you cleared the way for Golden Girls, I think is no small feat. And also, I think this is where it's like the subject matter is very of its time. And that's where it kind of loses its progress. Like, we need to dedicate a whole episode to a joint. Like, are you kidding me? Jermaine Jackson was considered a big deal. Like, right? Like,
He was heartthrobbing.
yeah, you know, there are some things that certainly date it, which is to be expected. You know, like they were talking about the things that mattered to teenage girls at that time. And I think that is also really progressive because it's still hard to find shows that speak to that demographic specifically. My oldest niece is just about 11 and is peak in that stage of like all of the shows that her sisters watch feel like baby shows because they're 6 and almost 3. But she's certainly not old enough. I'm not going to watch Insecure with her. Like, right? Like, like I recognize there are limits. Like, but they're like the teenage girl genre, I think, is still really stagnant today. And it's hard to find a show for that age group with a diverse group of bodies, of races, of background, like all of these things. Like I said, each girl served an archetype. And that was better than having a cast of 30 girls in the first season.
Okay,
but
seven.
Yeah. I mean, exaggerate? Never. But I still think it's hard to find a show today for that demographic that is grounded in any sense of reality. Because even like, this is no shade, no tea to Hannah Montana. We love Miley, right? But like, there's nothing grounded in reality of that show. Like that was the fun of it. That was the point. And like, even like that whole era of Disney and like teen drama, or like The Summer I Turned Pretty, or like, you know, all of these things are supposed to be for that age group, like very unrealistic. And we love it and we have fun. But I think there's something really beautiful about the facts of life being like, these are just 4 girls in high school, legitimately trying to figure it out and growing together.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely feminist and more progressive than I thought it would be. And Serita, your point is really great about like part of it being progressive, being like, whose stories are we including, and that including age as well. And like accurately speaking to a teenage experience without speaking down to them too. That was really cool. And yeah, I think, progressive with the same caveats that we usually give to it. The centering of a person of color is really awesome. That's one person though, and everyone else is not. And again, we only watched a certain segment of characters, but it also seemed like I keep just wanting to use the word extended universe, and that is not the right word for this, but superhero movies have broken me. But into the extended universe of it, it seems like, it's not as diverse as we would like to see, but really awesome to have a bunch of women on screen just talking about life.
You take the good with the bad, and that's the facts of life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the theme song. Now, Megan, had you heard the theme song before?
No, but I suddenly realized so many parodies that I had heard, and I went, oh, like if you've watched the completely unhinged YouTube sensation, Too Many Cooks, I went, oh, yes. Okay, I get it.
I love that so many jokes got to click for you again.
Yes. I was like, oh, that was also funny because of this. I get it.
Yeah. As we showed our kids stuff from, the 70s and 80s, inevitably they'd go, oh, I saw a Simpsons episode that was like this. Or My other favorite is, well, it's just like Lego Star Wars. And you're like, no,
What do you
baby.
mean it's just like opposite? I do feel like Dash and I have a similar sensibility in that we were raised by parents who like, we watched what they watched. Like, I'll never forget babysitting Dash once. And he was like, I would like to watch The Three Stooges before bed, please. I was like, okay, kid.
And that's A+ parenting.
Yeah, solid work. Or the time that he wanted to watch Ghost and I was convinced that he was not allowed to. And he was like, I've seen it before. And I made him like shot for shot tell me what it was about to prove that he had seen it. And he got it. He nailed it.
That was bad parenting. But, you know,
I thought it was great parenting. I was like, Dashel, this feels like a trap. This feels.
I could quote most of Young Frankenstein by the time I was 9 and like didn't know what I was saying, but could quote it. You're fine.
Yeah. I mean,
I think you're doing great.
Thank you. Listen, he's graduating high school, so we did something right.
That sounds great.
In 2 weeks. All right.
Oh my God.
Okay, this has been amazing. Any last thoughts? And then anything you want to promote?
I want to find The Facts of Life streaming so it can be my new background show. You know, like it's quality. Yeah. Of just like have it running while you're doing stuff around the house. You're going to get a few jokes. You're going to get a few like, oh, and you're going to have a nice time.
Yeah, we would like to formally request to anyone with the appropriate power listening that The Facts of Life be streamed somewhere where we can actively consume it.
And I believe there'll be several episodes that will come on and it'll be on the background. The next thing you know, you'll be sitting down in front of your television watching it.
And that's what I'm looking forward. That's what I want, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was surprising in revisiting it because I kind of thought it was fluffier than it was in my memory. Because again, I was a little bit moving on from kid shows. Sharon definitely was beyond it. But if you are going to watch any more, I would recommend you look at the bonus episodes, but also the cousin Geri Jewell, who was a young comedian with cerebral palsy, was on the show as a recurring character and was the first woman of disability, maybe person of disability, as a recurring character on a television show. And she was just this very funny comedian who then sort of got this platform that was even bigger than her comedy. And it was just kind of really, that felt really special, even as it was happening. And then, you know, and then it's a show that just kept going. Like they should have graduated in 2 years, like the older girls. And then they just keep hanging out with, Edna's Edibles.
Edna's Edibles, even when it burns down, we're going to bring this baby back. Which also, Edna's Edibles would be a great strand.
Mm-hmm.
It's surprising.
Mm-hmm.
It must exist somewhere, you would think.
It must.
It must.
Are you looking for a warm and cozy feeling before bed? Edna's Edibles.
Yeah.
So we're going to, I think in our description, we'll also post the full list of episodes that were recommended by our listeners. But, it's always fun. I know Sergio would have thrown a whole other way into it, so we're going to find out what he thought.
Can't wait to hear what he thought, though.
I know.
Are you going to keep watching?
Definitely the ones that are like on Tubi. Yeah, I'll go back to some of those episodes for sure. I think I'm just more curious too about like, okay, if this is how they handled these things, what else were they tackling?
It didn't make our list, but Natalie has some amazing episodes. So Natalie is adopted.
That's what I was going to say. Yes.
Oh.
Natalie's adopted and they do a couple of episodes working on that.
Wow.
I know there's an episode about Natalie's weight and like crash dieting and the dangers of it. I think I appreciate how much depth they gave her, again, for a stereotypical character that usually is just a punchline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Other Natalie episodes that are also very compelling when she accidentally finds out that her father is having an affair.
Oh.
Yeah. And then There's the episode, I don't know if it's in the same season or the next season, when he unexpectedly passes away. And I believe we have the first Shiva on network television.
Yes. Facts of Life, groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, things like that. And then the comedian that you were talking about as well, like those are just quietly groundbreaking things, which I think is so important. Like, yes, we should celebrate glass ceiling shattering and like new ground being broken, but also sometimes the most effective way is exactly what they're doing, which is just like, why isn't this normal? It's going to be normal. Here we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And since the other girls aren't Jewish, they get to explain everything. Blair gets upset that all the mirrors are covered and she can't see herself. It's great fun.
But, Blair also gets a chance to display more depth than you would expect from this pampered princess. Yes, she is that, but that's not all she is, which is also nice to see. In a lot of hands, she would have just been that stereotypical, indulged teenager that came from wealth and, thinks that everything she thinks is right and perfect and not have any room in her heart for anybody else. But she has more depth than that, which is also great to see. There's so many things about this show that just made it such a good one for teenagers, I think, to watch then and now, for that matter.
Yeah.
And it just now reminded me of A Different World and Whitley. She's Whitley. And so I don't know, it's interesting looking at those sort of in the same era. Oh my gosh, thank you. So anything you want to promote, anything happening, anyone got to send you some baby clothes,
Yeah,
please
drop your Venmo.
Send me your thoughts and prayers. Diaper fund, Venmo at Serita Fonta. But
Don't
truly,
send her diapers, send her cash.
Listen, as my grandma says, it all spends. I am taking 5 months off for leave, which is incredible. And I'm building a list of programming. So if you have recommended shows, movies, I've got some stuff that I've been meaning to put on. So I am seeking recommendations. Please know that I just watched The Wild Robot and it made me hysterically cry. So be mindful of what you're recommending me. Is all I will say.
A new parent watching The Wild Robot is just,
recommended. Oof. I was like, oh, this is going to be a classic, like a little bit of a bummer at the beginning. And then we have a fun little adventure and like cute and it's done. I was wrong. I cried multiple times throughout that film. But yes, if you have recommendations for a postpartum mom and petite bebe, send them my way.
Little baby Theo.
Little baby Theo.
Oh my God.
My biggest fear is that he won't think I'm funny. So I'm handling parenting really well.
That's legit though.
Yeah,
that would be devastating.
What if we just look at each other all day and he's like, your jokes aren't good. But he can't even communicate that. Like I can't get feedback to improve.
Babies are easy though, aren't they? They're very easily entertained.
I don't know, man. My niece was a tough cookie.
Really?
But I am her favorite.
Okay, there you go.
So there you go.
But here's the thing, you often get the one that you can't break. You know what I'm saying? Like
they know that you want it too
Don't
bad.
tell her that, Susan.
No, I'm already aware.
Yeah, Dashiell just like particularly Rich. Rich would try so hard. And Dashiell was like, no.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. He more appreciates it now. But my favorite thing was, and you'll enjoy this, was just like playing with Dashiell on the lawn and just like picking clovers out of our crazy lawn. It was unbelievable. Like, yeah, the fascination of the physical world is something that is so wonderful. I mean, they have to be larvae for a little bit, and then they can get fascinated with the physical world. That part was really special to me.
Yeah.
I was probably...
I'm excited to see how the dogs really take to.
Oh, yeah.
Parker lost his mind.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that story?
I think Gus is going to lose it.
Yeah. Leia
Bandit
totally knew.
seems prepared. Yeah. I think Gus is going to have a hard time.
Have the dogs figured out that you're carrying something that is moving around in there? Mhm.
Gus has started doing this thing where when he sleeps next to me, his nose has to be touching me, which that's new. And Bandit either wants to lay on my feet or he'll put his head on my belly a lot. And he sniffs my belly a lot. So I think they have caught on that something is happening. And then we're going to do the whole like bring the baby blanket home before we come home so they can like smell. And because Bandit's a shepherd. So I think he's just sort of like, well, I have a new charge. Like
Yeah.
I've got a new member of the herd. Gus is also mostly blind despite being 3. And so I think he might have a harder time adjusting. He's also been the baby up until this point. So I think he's going to have a little bit of like, what are you? What is this?
Oh my gosh. It's going to be so much fun. Thank you again. It's so delightful. Always make me very happy inside to see you guys. And
Yeah.
so
Oh, can I shout
Megan,
out?
do you have anything to promote?
Yeah. Let me shout out 3 things really quick. If you're in the Los Angeles area, I'm producing a fringe show. It is a ghost story. We don't get a ton of horror theater. So give us a follow at Day for Night Productions. And night is spelled like the thing with a lance, not the time of day. Yeah, give us a follow on Instagram, or if you just type in Day for Night, it'll redirect you to the fringe site. It's called The Visitor. Also, I'm acting in Shakespeare by the Sea in June and July. Even if you don't make it out, they're an awesome company. And go check, like, give them a follow, see what they're up to. They're really lovely people and treat their actors very well and should be rewarded for that. And then finally, like, just as the final thing that I'm trying to focus on more and more in my life, arts funding is like really, 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 really under attack right now. And there's the biggest organization I can point you towards is Arts for LA. They often have like just click and it'll tell you the next thing to do, whether it like a phone number pops up with who to call and a script for you to say to them of like what you're trying to advocate for, or it's one of those pre-written emails that if you have 5 minutes, you can personalize. If you don't have any time, you just hit send. It's really imperative right now that we make as much noise as possible and go support your local theater. Like just go see a play that you've never heard of with people you've never heard of in it. We need the love right now.
I totally agree.
Excellent.
Well done. I just added it to our audiography.
Yay. Yeah, Arts for LA they're rad. They do a lot of training programs too, if you're ever interested in how to scream loudly at the right people.
It's one of my favorite activities. It's an art form.
Yeah, like Serita, you're a pro. I was like, I just know screaming and I feel like I'm screaming into a void. So tell me who to scream
can
at.
channel this screaming to the people who really deserve it. It's very fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
It's been so much fun as always.
Sergio, what do you think?
Now to Sergio with the weather.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you.
So in today's audiography, you can learn more about the Facts of Life on Facebook. The site is called the Facts of Life site, and there'll be a link in our description.
Check out Serita's Not Ugly Pod at notuglypod.com and Venmo Serita some diaper money for little baby Theo. Her Venmo is Serita Fonta, and the link will be in our description.
Megan's Hollywood Fringe show, The Visitor, you can find the information about where to get tickets, when and where it's going to be in our show notes. And also just a reminder about the organization she mentioned, Arts for LA, which you can find at artsforla.org.
You can watch season 2 and 3 of The Facts of Life on Tubi for free. And you can, I think, buy season 2 or 3, one of those on Amazon, but it's really hard to find. So I recommend, we'll have some links. I found some of the episodes on Dailymotion and on YouTube that we were trying to show the 90s TV babies. So keep searching and tell your streamers that you want The Facts of Life.
And don't forget to check your local library. They may have DVDs available that you can borrow.
That's right. You can always find DVDs. My new favorite place to find DVDs for sale is on eBay. And then I want to wish everyone a happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month indeed. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for your feedback and comments. Did any of you guys out there recently watch or rewatch The Facts of Life? And if so, what did you think?
We love hearing from you. Send us messages at our website, 80stvladies.com. That's 80stvladies.com.
We so appreciate your feedback. One way is to leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Mention what shows or ladies you'd like for us to cover on 80s TV Ladies. Well, next time, our next episode is so exciting.
I know, I cannot wait. I can't believe we get to end season 3 with such a blast from the past. We are going to have on an 80s movie icon and 2-time Emmy-winning actor from the incredible television show 2.5 Men. Mr. John Cryer is coming on the show.
Get ready for a wonderful conversation with Mr. Cryer. We laughed and we learned so much about him and his crazy 80s, which led him to a life of acting.
You don't want to miss it. And we'll explain in the episode how the interview came to be. So tune in.
We hope 80s TV Ladies brings you joy and laughter and lots of fabulous new and old shows to watch, all of which will lead us forward towards being amazing ladies of the 21st century.
Let's go, like those 90s TV babies. We love them.
80s TV